We will now continue. Good to see you back again on the screen and here in the City Cube at ITB Berlin. I'm looking forward to a very exciting panel. We are going to cast a glance at the future. What is possible as of now? What is the digital competition? What are the potentials of AI, VR, and wearables for accessible tourism? Whoever attended last year's conference, Olaf Schlieper, announced it. Anna Graf from Bertelsmann Arvato opened the window just a little bit. Today we want to zoom in with a closer look what is in it for us, because AI is the big buzzword. There is also a risk that in developing all these new products, people with special needs are not considered. So we need to sensitize the designers and developers. If they do so, if they integrate also the perspective of those with special needs, there is a great opportunity. I ask now academic Professor Dr. Dimitrios Buhalis, Director of International Center for Tourism and Hospitality Research at Bournemouth University. Cordial welcome, Professor Buhalis. I also ask Olaf Schlieper, Innovation Manager at the German National Tourist Board, and Finn Ole Matthias Peters, co-founder of vJourney, who uses a part of the sea. He is a bus operator and he has the camera. Good to have you with us, and give him please a warm round of applause. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, we are also allotting some time to your questions. Please think out certain questions and comments. Mr. Buhalis, as a tourism researcher, you prepare the ground for us. Please tell us in more detail. What are we up to? You have been studying technology and tourism for some years, also with a special regard to technology openness and transparency. What are the most fascinating and most impressive innovations that we can expect?
For inviting me here, and wonderful to be on the panel. Thank you to Olaf and thank you to the organization. Then let me say how frustrated I am. I'm very frustrated because we've been dealing with accessible tourism for the last 25 years. Olaf has been on the journey with us. Peter was here early on, and we're still a very small room, and we're still somewhere in the corner, and we are not on the main stage. So this has been. And we're still discussing more or less the same agenda. So we started with a project called OSATE, that was a European Commission project that created the European Network of Accessible Tourism. And we're still not progressing. So that's my frustration. So your question is what is new? And what is new, as far as technology is concerned, is artificial intelligence, obviously, and metaverse, and autonomous devices. Autonomous devices can be big things like autonomous cars, autonomous boats, but can be small things like drones that they bring you things and different. So I'm spending most of my time looking into these technological developments and see what they're going to do to tourism. And then a subsection of that is what's going to happen for accessibility and accessible tourism. And I've got a PhD student who just started in looking to what AI is going to do for accessible tourism. Because I was just following our colleague who was presenting early on, and it's absolutely fascinating the things that he was saying and the trips that they did. And I think what we have now the possibility of doing, which we never had before, is to harness the information by multiple users and analyze that in real time almost, and co-create all the information and the images and the content to actually enable people to decide whether that's for them or not for them. And then AI is going to learn specifically what is your requirements and how your requirements can be met by the providers, either because of their architectural kind of situation, or because of their attitude, because of the other factors that they are bringing accessibility. So, a long answer to a short question. Basically, I think the main things that are coming into society in general, and it will change everything that we do, is AI, metaverse, XR, and all this situation where you have got digital twins, effectively, of what you have got in reality. And then the other thing that's really quite fascinating is autonomous devices and vehicles. And I think all of those will have huge implications for accessibility and accessible tourism. And I'll stop here so we can have a conversation.
No, just one more question. Noch eine Frage an Sie. Was denken Sie?
Another question. What do you think? What are the results beyond technological and functional support towards a joint added value for travelers with special requirements in terms of accessibility?
I think the important issue now is how we are going to network with people with accessibility requirements. Because so far, we've been relying on organizations providing the right information to the right people at the right time. And my frustration is that this has not happened for 25 years. Now, I'm a hotelier, I've worked with many different organizations. If I'm doing a presentation with a hotel association, they'll say, yeah, okay, would like to provide this information, however, it's very complex, I don't have the time, I've got my own challenges that I've got to address, and therefore I'm doing my best. And I'll do reasonable adaptations to the needs when the needs are coming forward. This is not good enough. But I understand their logic, because this is what their realities and what they have got to deal with. I think the opportunity here is that we can crowdsource information at a scale that we've never had the opportunity to do before. So if we've got the places that my colleague has gone early on, and if we've got a full documentation of his trip to this wonderful place, which then creates a blueprint for the next person to come and do it. That may create a business opportunity for some people to do it. So what we'll have now, for the first time ever, is the opportunity of crowdsourcing information from the people who experience it firsthand, because there's one thing that a hotelier, an airline providing a description of about what you have in terms of accessibility, and there's a very different way of doing it for someone who has got some kind of disability, because there are a lot of different types of disabilities, you know. So, and actually we've just published a paper now on nothing for me without me. So it's really about giving voice to people with special needs, to negotiate their needs with the service providers, but also to discuss with everybody else. So technological developments in that particular area will enable us to communicate much better, much more efficiently, and also to collaborate. Let me tell you another frustration with accessibility. The accessibility market is super fractured. There's no collaboration. There are many organizations. I think it's because of political reasons, economic reasons, whatever, that there's no collaboration. I think for the first time ever, we'll have technological tools to support this collaboration and to enable platforms to collaborate and bring together the content. And that can only be a good thing for those people who require that level of accessibility.
Vielen Dank, Olaf Schlieper. Sie haben ja bei der DZT sich schon lange
Thank you very much, Olaf Schlieper. You have been on your way in this the German National Tourist Board. We could also test out the goggles of the UNESCO Heritage Foundation. Well, it has been awarded with several prizes. Please tell us more about this. We, as the National Tourist Board that promotes Germany as a destination all over the globe, we are interested in everybody enabling to use information on Germany as a destination. Also with a view at the Equal Opportunity Act for people with disabilities, and also the already mentioned UNCRPD. So there is also a regulatory framework that demands this. All those many arguments that we've heard of the market research. The market is so enticing. There are so many people with so many different needs for accessibility, but they spend more money, or they are able to spend more money than the average traveler. So, and we are placed in an international competitive environment. The classical tools of analog promotion, websites, social media, surveying tools. Well, most of these tools have been designed to meet the criteria of accessibility. But with virtual reality or mixed reality, well, virtual reality, we want to become fully accessible. We do not want to discriminate against anybody. From the very beginning, we started looking at this with a workshop that employs the people with disabilities. Well, it's not a one-off exercise. You need to repeat these things with people with multiple impairments. You need to make sure that even they have the opportunity to use these new options. With the first project, we did this with great consistency, especially thanks to AI. The entire production of devices, of software, and also generation of content will be accelerated at breakneck speed. And the risk of discriminating against people is growing exponentially, unless AI is trained at the same time that anything it creates must be accessible. Here we need to balance this out. How can we use these new technologies efficiently, but without excluding anybody? Tell me something about the app. I think not everybody knows what's going on. Mixed reality app. Well, the customer sees the home, the space in which he is currently dwelling. We involve digital elements, a table on which you can select amongst 55 UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Where is it positioned? And if you are interested, you turn around, you walk through a digital door, and you immediately are inside this World Heritage Site. You can walk around. You can go around in the wheelchair. According to the type of impairment, you can zoom, you can blow up the text, or you can have it read out to you. You can also automatically adjust the height of the table. We have learned that there are so many fearful people, so they live their lives ridden with fears, and we have also neurodivergent people. Well, so nothing is blinking, nothing frightening you, and it's easy to understand for people with learning disabilities. So all in all, we have the entire range of types of disabilities that can be catered. Please take us also into the future. What might happen? You were a mentor and member of the jury of the AX RNC, the World Hackathon for Extended Reality of Dinesh Punni that you saw on the program, that you find also here, but unfortunately he will arrive with a certain delay at 6 o'clock in the evening, which is to no avail. First, hackathon, what impressed you most during that hackathon? Which ideas could you take along?
It is really a pity that Dinesh cannot be here. His airplane is defect, so he got stuck on Madeira, which is a very special thing. Not only is he an experienced developer for extended reality, he also does developments for smart glasses, these new devices that are high-performance goggles and become devices that can be used every day. So you really have, in the near future, they talk about 5 to 10 years, you will have a certain market penetration so that many people will use these devices. And they have also the chance to support people with disabilities. Dinesh Punni is very well connected, an internationally renowned speaker, and last year he organized the greatest hackathon for extended reality. So the XRNCC hackathon was organized by him. We were there as a sponsor. We had our own travel track there. I was a member of the jury. Not only did I assess the tourism apps, but I also did other things. And I saw what smart glasses and wearables, these useful devices that we can already see on the market, what they can do to people with accessibility needs. Okay, you know what you can do with your fingers or by moving your fingers like this? Well, the winner of the tourism tag was an app by young developers who developed a new technology to explore the world 3D. Gorthensplatting, it is called. So they basically filmed Chinatown, and in 3D I can walk through Chinatown. I can go to a store and I get a reality close experience there. They offered a live tour with an experienced tour guide who really has real tours in Chinatown on the ground, but they have learned that many people do not have the time to go to Chinatown when they are in New York City, or they can't travel to the US because of disabilities, because of a shortage of money. So with these guys, you can now go to Chinatown, virtually kind of, interactively in this VR world, almost as if you were there in reality, which is great. Then there's a second app, and you also want to speak, sorry for this. Very interesting. Safe Walk, it is called, for smart glasses. It's for people who get into difficult situations. And if you make a simple gesture or a verbal instruction, they tell you what has to happen in terms of this cascade to help these people. So you have trusted persons or physicians who can help this person if they are in trouble. There are many different applications for people who have accessibility requirements. And then Fluften. It sounds fluffy, and it was really kind of a fluffy creature that helped people with autism handle their everyday issues. And in a mixed reality world, explain to them, this is how you brush your teeth, it is training for kids, this is how you have to pack your backpack to go on a hiking tour. It sounds banal, but some people can't do this. So these assistance systems were programmed and coded for this. And this is just the beginning. This is a huge market. Mr. Peters, from the future visions, let's come back to the present situation. You come from a coach family, sounds like down to earth, close to practice, but the future has already started for you. You're a pioneer in the area of VR, virtual reality, 360-degree tourism. What have you done? Well, during COVID, where nobody could travel, we wanted to bring vacation home. And then we said, YouTube videos or photos we know already. But as Olaf already said it, virtual traveling, immersive travel, many people use it already. But what does it mean? So that you immerse in a city virtually. This is what we try to do and offer. And we are kind of front runners because we have real photos, 360 degrees, Eiffel Tower in Paris, say, plus small 3D elements. For instance, the Eiffel Tower that you can grab and hold in your hand. You can interact with an AI guide. What do I see? Then they tell you something about the Eiffel Tower. And then there's a virtual book that you can browse through and look at pictures. So we do mixed reality, but it is VR at the end of the day. And we use these different elements, which is nice because you have emotions, you see real people walking around. So we have the possibility to basically play this out to customers. We rent this out through a rental model. You get the VR goggles or glasses sent home. This is totally accessible because we have no controllers, no Wi-Fi. It is very simple. You just switch the glasses on, easier than a phone. So you open a menu. I mean, this is easy, the 3 dots, but some people don't know this. They just see a blue button that they can click on, and then they can just point with their fingers to where they want to go. It still looks like a bus tour, so you get on a bus, you leave the bus, etc. Yes, this is how we started. But now we work with bigger destinations. It's not just coach or bus trips. It is the journey. We try to do storytelling. It's not just visiting the Eiffel Tower. It is 3 days. It's like a Netflix series. You arrive in Paris. Day 1, you look at this. Day 2, you look at the Eiffel Tower. And then you can hop from place to place. It is almost like a real journey or a trip. What does that mean? And this is a question for all of you, actually. People, in this case, do no longer travel. Is it instead of travel? Maybe you and then Olaf? No, it's not instead of travel. It's an add-on. More than 13 million people in Germany can travel for many different reasons. For also geopolitical issues that we are currently confronted with, and we want to see traveling as a basic need. This is our vision, that everybody gets a chance to participate socially. Loneliness is a huge issue. There are people who don't dare leave their home anymore, and this overcomes a first hurdle. Away from the safe couch, this is how it feels to walk through this area, this is what it looks like, and this is kind of a re-entry into re-socialization, at least for some people. What does that mean for the industry? Do we have to change the mindset if we now have more virtual journeys? What does that mean for the entire industry? Mr. Buhalis.
A little bit more difficult for Finn, because what he is describing is wonderful in terms of I'm watching a film on an immersive environment where I see the next generation, whether the next generation may be in a few years, is where we have co-creation of virtual environments on an immersive environment. So Olaf may be sitting in his house, I may be sitting in my house, and Finn may be sitting in his house, and we may co-experience the same conversation. Now, the other thing is that something we talked about a little bit earlier, is that how can I bring photographs and videos, my own photographs and videos, and integrate them in there and actually make it part of the whole experience. Now, when I say a lot of these things, quite often people think that's happening in the future and it's quite complicated and everything. In fact, if you see gamers and gamification, it's happening already. So I think it's a matter of how can we take some of the techniques, some of the knowledge there, and adopt to in our situation.
We already have it implemented. So
you've already implemented
like a multiplayer, right? So
exactly. So and the theory behind it is that you have a digital twin of your life, where you are meeting your friends or your relatives or whoever you like to meet in a similar kind of situation. There's a lot of technical challenges, but it will be a short period. The question is what's happening with the destination now and how Olaf can actually make money for Germany when people are going to different places. And I think there are two answers to that. The first one is what Finn said, that it is not going to replace, it's going to augment. But in reality, some people cannot travel because of disabilities. Some people cannot travel because they've got parental responsibilities or they are carers or whatever. A lot of people cannot travel because they don't have the money to travel, as simple as that. I'd love to go to Hawaii every 2 years, but in actual fact I cannot. And there are several other barriers with traveling. My funny answer is that virtual travel is like virtual sex. And I'll stop there.
Gutes Bild.
Nice image. Olaf, what does the travel industry have to do if these things become possible or are already possible or used on a broader basis? The GNTB is funded by the Energy Ministry, so it comes down to business. And of course, we want to convince people to visit Germany. We and many colleagues have done this through Watch the Place Before You Go. So check out the place before you go. So we take photos, we take videos, and we advertise with them. Now we don't see a strategy change, but we have embarked upon another path. Walk the place before you go. Interact with the destination and check out what it looks like. And our customers are the guests out there, people who do not know Germany, and they say, I didn't know that Germany is so beautiful. No idea that it's such a great country. And with these experiences, we of course attract new customers. And this is a huge market. I mentioned different tools already for the destinations. Of course, we will use different tools. We will check them and try them. And I'm totally convinced that this close to reality preview, especially when it comes to people with impairments, and we have heard this multiple times today, these people need much more information. And sometimes visuals are much more helpful than descriptions. They have to prepare for a trip much more thoroughly. And if they can already feel themselves into the place, into the destination, I will wheel through a certain road, for instance, already, and then they can decide whether it fits or not. These are new opportunities, of course, that we have to use. But what does that mean for the industry? You have to deal with totally different tools and data volumes. So people who are here, people who make offerings to people with impairments and disabilities, what do they have to consider in the future? First of all, the industry has been developing, apart from VR glasses, lean glasses that will be able to do similar things. So a convincing depiction of the destination. Digitally mapping destinations in 3D becomes easier, less expensive, and faster. And also the extrapolation to data volumes that are manageable is also becoming better. At the beginning, everything was painful. Nobody talks about bandwidths anymore. You have to follow technology and use the respective opportunities. Mr. Peters. No, I would like to contradict at least a little bit. It is nice to capture real photos and videos. I mean, it's wonderful if destinations cooperate with us. We film them in 8x11K captures, and then we put them into the VR glasses, 360 degrees. It is a great mix. Of course, there are these methods that you mentioned, but not everything is ready to use now. Sometimes after half an hour, things get bored, but if you have real pictures, then you become more emotional. We have families that order glasses for their kids because walking through a city with 6 and 10-year-olds can be very tiring. But playfulness, gamification, if they walk through Copenhagen with their entire family before they really travel there, then they say, well, Dad, hey, I have seen this. Let us not go to McDonald's, but maybe visit this church because I have seen it before. So there is great experience to be expected also with younger people. And like you say, they get a feel for the city before they really travel there. Walk through the city with a walker, wheel through a city with a wheelchair. So they need more time and they might want to check out the place before they really travel. Olaf, you wanted to say something? You were asking about challenges for the industry. One challenge that has been a recurrent theme here today, was also mentioned in Torino last year, is data, which is collected and needs to be processed and hosted according to international standards. Also for AI systems. When it comes to smart glasses, we need data. I need my hands free, and AI knows what I personally need. You can train the AI accordingly. It has the knowledge of the world. It can access 3D maps, can access all kinds of different information that is available on a specific destination. But what it needs in particular is information focusing on accessibility. They have to work according to standards. We work with schema.org, but they also have to be up to date so that they are beneficial and usable. That said, the GNTB partnered with other companies and created this open data project. And now hundreds of thousands of data have been collected, and the I now can use this data. It is a trustworthy source of data for Germany as a travel destination. But there's room for improvement. And data is exactly what customers need to precisely decide whether this destination is appropriate for them or not. Same applies to tour operators. Last question to Mr. Buhalis. When we look into the future, when we look into 2040, which strategic changes will destinations and tour operators have to do to basically put into practice what is already feasible today?
Question. Can I just take a little bit forward from what Olaf said? What you may like to do, I mean, the way to visualize it, imagine that you have got the new Wikipedia that is on multiple levels, and you've got the level that's text, but then you've got an immersive version of this, which you have collected by crowdsourcing of data and content, which has then gone through a process of cleaning via your certification process, and also the community is cleaning this. And there'll be different communities. There'll be one community may be people who are visually impaired and blind, another community may be people on wheelchair users, and even in this community you'll have different levels of wheelchair users, right? Or there'll be other disabilities like diabetes or Crohn's disease or whatever. And so what you'll have is you have got a platform where you then don't only have textual information, but you've got multilingual information, multi-content information that is dynamically enhanced and updated by the users. I think that will be super powerful. Mm-hmm. And I think what the destinations need to do is they need to work with the ecosystem altogether. First of all, to create the accessible ecosystem. And then we need to make it much easier for the guys who are next door, who are trying to sell holidays, to be here to trying to sell holidays on an inclusive way. Because even, when you're attracting the disability market, quite often you're attracting several other people, especially on leisure. When my mom was still alive and I'll go somewhere that she needed accessibility at the end, but she will travel with another 4, 5, 6 people. So it's really about looking to how we are going to bring everybody together, and we are going to create the platforms where things are going to plug and play. Mm-hmm. It will be very challenging on the economic modeling and who is going to make money for whom. But I think once we have got something good, then the economics will sort out themselves.
Vielen Dank. Gibt es Fragen von Ihnen hier?
Are there any questions from your end? Yes, please. Wait a moment until the microphone arrives. Can you hear him? No.
But they're also very useful for people who, for different reasons, can't actually visit the place. And so if, for these immersive media projects, how do you make accessibility portion attractive to destinations, given that these people may not actually visit? And also, how do you manage distribution to make sure that the people who could benefit from these projects actually find out about them and get to use them? Thanks.
Frage an einen konkreten Menschen?
Is this directed at anybody specific?
Panel, okay. Wer möchte?
Also tatsächlich tut sich hier ein
This is a huge market that is opening up. I haven't addressed it because this is not our intention to enable people to participate in concerts remotely. Football matches, powerful streaming providers, sports clubs are behind it, media organizations, producers are following along this route. They want to provide an immersive experience in 3D. Well, people were willing to go to Real Madrid, for example, but it's impossible to get hold of tickets because all the tickets are, so to speak, inherited. So, yes, of course, it is a very exciting business opportunity because there is a huge market potential for associations, clubs, and concert organizers. Big tech clubs are in the process of enabling this. This is not the type of travel that we are aiming at, but it will be coming. People who would not travel far, but if it was only possible to participate in this or that event, to share this experience, the football match, Mr. Buhalis.
Business models emerging from this. There'll be subscription models, like when you are receiving information or music or video on Netflix or whatever. There'll be a lot of these platforms will become distribution channels on themselves. So there'll be the booking.com effectively of different things. So it's not a linear thinking. It needs to be thought in multiple levels. And I think there's huge opportunities to actually create business models that they are supporting different people for different purposes at different times.
Wunderbar. Wir haben eine Frage, habe ich gerade gesehen.
Wonderful. One question that I saw a brief while ago. Could you please, if a VR set of glasses brings you the travel, well, what else can physical travel bring to you? It's like virtual sex, Mr. Buhalis put it quite aptly.
Are being able to visualize oneself in a space can make a big difference to people who are dealing with mental health disorders. It can help reduce anxiety and the perception of fear. People living with anxiety disorders and so on. Ja. Vielen Dank für diesen Hinweis.
Thank you very much for this reminder. I would say if there are no other questions in the hall, neither online, we have reached the end of our panel, so the future is now. Everybody needs to knuckle down to this piece of work, otherwise the train will be off. There are many opportunities for accessible tourism or for virtual tourism, but you need to think of those who need accessibility so as not to create new barriers. Thank you very much, Professor Dimitrios Buhalis, Finn, Ole Peters, and Olaf Schlieper for this wonderful and inspiring discussion. Your applause.